Right then, hello. As I record this, it's 10 p.m. just before in the UK on September the 7th, 2022, and I've just finished writing about Apple's iPhone 14 event for appleinsider.com. I realise I don't usually, or ever actually, show you my workings out as a writer, so to speak, but tonight was fun. This was good. Proper newsroom buzz, looking for what Apple is saying and what Apple's not saying. Looking for the real news amongst all the, frankly, the hype. Yeah, I used to get this all the time when I worked at BBC News Online and CFAX newsroom, and I forgot how much it was. Anyway, sorry, that's just me. If you want every detail of everything Apple launched for everybody, well, appleinsider.com, that's one place out of probably 11 billion that you can check for details. But that's for everybody. You and I are writers, and okay, there is nothing to say that as writers we can't have nice things, and Apple launched some very nice things today. I want an iPhone 14 Pro now. Anyway, just for writers, specifically just for what you and I do, I can think of perhaps just one and a half things Apple launched that kind of looked to me at first glance like they could be of direct, practical, immediate use to you or me or writers we know. I mean, writers, mileage, varies, all that stuff. And there are all these nice things. So how about this? How about I show you what I believe could help you, me, or writers we know, and when we've done that, we'll have a look at the quick look at the rest. Yeah. Also, actually, since we are writers, let's take a second to appreciate just how well written Apple's launch video was. I mean, actually, not totally for once. There was this really effective sequence overall, dramatizing some of the many letters that people write to Apple about the Apple Watch and how it has literally saved their lives. And this was all really good, all moving, gorgeously filmed, until there was a bit from a woman who wrote in talking about a plane crash, and Apple created a set for it. I mean, I think she was an actor. I kind of hope they're all actors, but still having this woman sitting there in the mock wreckage reading her letter about, it seemed a bit tasteless, really. But then on the other side, Apple also slipped, in the middle of this hardware launch, Apple slipped in two tiny references to Severance, the truly excellent drama on Apple TV Plus, and it did it with style. So as a show, overall, the Apple Far Out launch video, it was well written, it was well directed. Maybe this is just me, I only ever noticed direction when it's clearly bad, and it was definitely gorgeously shot, and I think immaculately edited. Forget the new devices, right? The actual presentation today, it was itself an advert for what we can do on Apple Gear. Oh, but you're cold. Okay. Hello, I'm William Gallagher, and this is 58 Keys. Actually, it's the second 58 Keys for September the 7th, 2022. There's one from earlier today about just overall the various ways to buy a new iPhone for less. I truly did not think that I would be tempted this year, but there you go. And that's linked in the description stuff below, the form. That video and this one, in fact, all of them, all of 58 Keys, it is always and forever meant for writers like you and me who use and who write on Macs and iPhones and iPads. This time, we're concentrating on exactly what Apple has just now, today as this goes out, launched. Do subscribe to 58 Keys, by the way, because I mean there's always so much to talk about, and maybe actually especially when events like this are over and we've got this gear in our hands to use, to write on, to put off writing on. Also, apparently clicking a bell to be notified of new videos is a good thing for the world or something. I've actually never tried clicking that bell. Tell you what, you find the bell here, wherever it is, and show me what to do. Okay. Now though, as I say, I do feel that there were just these one and a half things for writers in this Apple launch. And the clear one of the one and a half is the iPhone 14 Plus. As ever, there's a regular pair of iPhones and there's the Pro models. This year, the regular ones include a larger screen version. I mean, when I say large, it's 6.7 inches, where the regular iPhone 14 is 6.1 inches. That's an entire 0.6, it's half an inch, isn't it really? It doesn't sound like much, but it is, because this is the diagonal measurement. This is a big difference. With 6.1 inches, you can't hold that iPhone in your hand and operate it. With 6.7 inches, you kind of have trouble holding it in both hands. That's the difference. This iPhone 14 Plus, it's not like it's Apple's first large display. I mean, you've seen them, you've seen people carrying around. For the last couple of years, there's been one larger iPhone, and it's always been the 3 years, I think, the Pro Max version. So the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and now the iPhone 14 Pro Max. For the word Pro, well, there are differences actually between the Pro and the non-Pro versions of iPhones, and I like the Pros. I've bought the Pros, but really, for now, for this situation, for the word Pro, read expensive. No, that's not fair. Read much more expensive, okay? This year, though, you can get a large screen iPhone that's not a Pro one, and it doesn't mean it's cheap, but it isn't the iPhone 14 Pro Max. The iPhone 14 Plus has this 6.7 inch display, and it costs from $899 or £949, where the iPhone 14 Pro Max costs from $1,099 or $1,199. It's about a $200 or £200 difference between the Plus and the Max. You could buy a very nice phone for £200, but it wouldn't be an iPhone. An iPhone, actually not just iPhones, anything you buy, really, they're not expensive just because they cost a lot. A costly phone can still be a bargain if it's the right one for you, and buying a $200 phone that isn't right for you, that is throwing money away. But still, only you know your budget. Let me tell you why you might want to think about the larger screen iPhone as a writer. And then, just for completeness, why I used to think that way and don't now. We're going around in circles here. Having this option for a large screen means that if you choose to, you can have an iPhone that's kind of in between a regular phone and a small iPad. Get yourself a little external keyboard, and, well, you can effectively have, it's like your whole writing office in your pocket or your case or your handbag. You can do this, and I have. For a year, a couple of years ago now, I actually marvelled at what it was like setting up shop wherever I went. Just me, keyboard, quite a big keyboard, and my then iPhone XS Max. I liked that large iPhone a lot, and it was financial reasons that meant when I did choose to upgrade, I went for the small. I went for the iPhone 11 Pro that followed it. But then once I had that 11 Pro, I loved it. I mean, forget liking it, I loved it. And I will not go back to the larger screen versions. But then I actually don't have to. I mean, while I do write on my phone a lot, and the iPhone 13 Pro that I have now is a particularly fine and sharp screen that it makes it a pleasure to write on, certainly to read on. Well, I do also have an iPad that goes with me everywhere. But okay, so as it happens, I have an iPad, an iPhone, and a MacBook Pro. I have built that setup over some years, and each time as I needed each bit for a job, and, well, that's very nice for me, isn't it? Even if you could afford, though, I don't think it'd be a good idea to go out and buy all of them at the same time. I mean, apart from the sheer volume of cash out of your account, I think you'd actually fail to get the most out of any of them, because you probably also couldn't afford to eat a bit. So maybe the new, cheaper iPhone 14 Plus is the right device, the right large screen device for you, maybe. I think it will be for some writers, which is what makes me think it was really the one thing in the new launch that is definitely for you or me or some writers that we know at least. For completeness, let me tell you that the regular iPhone 14, the one with the smaller 6.1 inch screen, that costs from $799 or £849. There's then the iPhone 14 Pro, which Apple has persuaded me I want. Yeah, I can still resist. Oh, and actually my accountant, I'm getting text messages, soldering shut my piggy bank. That starts at $999 or £1,099. The iPhone 14 Pro Max, which has the large screen and just about everything Apple can throw inside a phone, that starts at $1,099 or £1,199. Are your eyes watering a bit there? Actually, seriously, do take a look at tonight's previous 58 Keys, linked below, about how to get the new iPhone for less. Legally, let me just throw that in, legally. Okay. Yeah. Now for the half part of the 1.5 things for writers. Okay. It's a half, and I also think this is me cheating a bit, really, because it's the Apple Watch SE. And what's good about it for writers is, well, A, it's an Apple Watch, and 2, it's the cheapest Apple Watch there is. I mean, until today, literally today, there was the Apple Watch Series 3, which was even cheaper. But whoa, the Series 3, if you could get it secondhand now, don't. Extraordinarily bad buy. I mean, Series 3 was fine when it came out. I think I might even have wanted one at the time, but it came out 5 years ago, and there have now been 2 major changes to the watch, and both of them came after the Series 3 and made important differences. I don't think Apple was being nice keeping on selling the Series 3 to basically anyone who just didn't know any better. Really, Series 3, that was kind of an exception in the lineup. Okay, the rest of the Apple Watches are, and I think pretty much always have been, well, great. As a writer, what the watch does is it shows me a text or an email or notification on my wrist. Feel a tap, turn the wrist, see whether you do or don't need to care about whatever it is, then go right back to your writing. You're interrupted, but far less than getting out your phone to see what the bleep is. Oh, actually, speaking of taps instead of bleeps, I don't have an alarm clock anymore. I have my watch tap me on the wrist to wake me up at 5 a.m. to wake me up, to not wake up half the street. And I am genuinely fitter since no, I am. Plus, by the way, brand new, if you're in a car crash, your Apple Watch SE and all of the new Apple Watches launched today know it. They can recognize that you are, and they can call the emergency services. I mean, there are amazing things in this world, aren't there? I think we forget that sometimes. So anyway, if there's only that one bit about, you know, the saving and distractions, keeping about writing, maybe there's only that one bit that directly helps with writing. Well, overall, fitness is good too. Overall, the Apple Watch is a boon for us for so many lots of little reasons of what it does. And that is true of the SE, but also any Apple Watch you can get now. What's good about an Apple Watch is in the sum of all its little features, rather than any one big thing, no matter what Apple says at each new launch. Which is why this doesn't feel like one entirely new thing for writers. That's why it's the half. The Apple Watch SE, it's very good. And starting at $249 or £259, it is now the cheapest Apple Watch you can get. Apple did announce tonight the more expensive Apple Watch Series 8, and that one starts. There's a small and a large version. The small size starts from $399 or £419. It's a better watch. It's worth the extra, I think. I mean, not so much that I'm going to trade in my Series 7 from last year, but if I had an older Apple Watch, or if I didn't have a watch at all and I could budget for this one, it is the Series 8 that I would buy for sure. I think the SE is like the sweet spot price and features. What the 8 offers over the 7 and the SE is chiefly health features, and actually chiefly for women this time. There's this amazing smart pair of temperature sensors that between them, it's incredible. They can make a pretty good stab at estimating whether or not you've been ovulating. I mean, there are times when technology is astonishingly good, isn't it? And there is no reason why writers shouldn't have astonishing technology. Speaking of, just quickly though, if you are a writer who wants astonishing, incredible technology, and a writer who can afford $799 or £849, and a writer who's very sportsy, Well, you now also, as of today, have the option of the Apple Watch Ultra. More sports features, more everything, including a substantially larger screen on your wrist. These features, you can look up the long list if you are sporty, they're amazing, and the price is actually less than everyone expected. There's not a lot there to dislike, except I manage it. I love everything about it except the chassis, the body of it, the chunkiness, the sheer width of the new Apple Watch Ultra. No. In fact, that's why I'm not buying one. It's not the price or the need for sports fitness. Well, so iPhone 14 Plus and the Apple Watch SE. Perhaps what I really mean is that there are only these 1.5 things that Apple launched that you might be able to make use of, non-use. You might be able to good case for them being tax deductible as writers. Hang on, that's too important. I need a footnote. Wise words there. Okay. Everything that Apple launched could be for us as writers, I suppose, because, well, writers are people too. Even so, I mean, there must be, I think I said this, 11 billion places online, including apple.com, where you can find out every pixel of every detail, but about all that Apple brought out. And honestly, I don't think that I can usefully add anything more to any of that. But if you've got a minute, well, the nice things Apple has, they were really nice, weren't they? And as I say, I now want an iPhone 14 Pro. Maybe you can talk me. That's why I want one so much now that my decision in today's earlier video that I really couldn't justify buying one when I love and adore and relish my current iPhone 13 Pro. Well, it's not so much a decision, a more guideline. Look, iPhone 14 Pro, it's the always on feature. The screen's always on, doesn't go black. I mean, I wanted that for the Apple Watch, which got it a couple of years ago. It never actually occurred to me to want it for the iPhone, and yet now it's there. I want it a lot. And it's the really clever stuff Apple has done with what used to be the notch, the little cutout gap that has the iPhone's Face ID sensors to let you unlock the iPhone by kind of gurning at it, and the camera for taking selfies and all of those countless Zoom meetings, all of that good stuff. Now for the Pro models, instead of the notch up at the top, there's this well, it's a bit smaller and it's a bit lower down, but it's also packed with useful details, and actually it changes to show information. It shrinks and grows to show you what you need to know at any particular time. I never used to think about the notch at all. Just there, it was fine, but really like what Apple's replaced it with. And Apple's called this the dynamic island. Not 100% sure about the name, but the feature. I'm also not 100% sure, or just maybe less interested for myself, in the new AirPods Pro. Although actually that's probably because I have and I like. I've still got them here. Yep, the old AirPods Pro. I was using them in a meeting earlier. If you haven't tried, well, nobody's going to lend you a pair, are they? Nor is an Apple store. No one's like to let you just pop one in an ear to try. It's kind of a bit unsanitary with things. So you're just going to have to trust me on this one. When I first got AirPods Pro, there was this moment a few days into it when I was walking around Birmingham, my home city, and my head was full of this glorious music. And I realised that just for a moment, I was wondering, why is no one else on the street dancing to this music? Mind you, we then had the Commonwealth Games here in Birmingham, and for those 11 days of that, everyone was dancing in the street. So, yeah, who needs AirPods? I think that you and I both came into this latest Apple event knowing that we'd probably come away wanting something. Whether or not we get it, we'd want it. And also that, well, this is Apple. It is going to be expensive. But I think I actually forgot one of the reasons that I like Apple devices. And tonight's video, well, they reminded me of it, but particularly the thing about the notch. I mean, Android phones, for example, they've had these smaller pill-shaped mini notches for years and years. But now here's Apple, arguably late to the game, but it comes along, does it differently, does it right. Apple thinks about what we will actually do with the devices, not just throw features out, what will we do with them? And I think that's the same kind of depth of thinking that you and I have to do as writers. I mean, okay, everyone else might call us obsessive, but we get it. We get attention to detail. Okay. That's it for this edition of 58 Keys. Do actually please remember that there have been 2 58 Keys editions this week. You know what one of them was because you've just seen it. But Apple had its big iPhone launch. It came out at the same time that, by chance, that 58 Keys normally goes out, and I couldn't wait. I couldn't skip the normal time. Funny thought there. This is just you and me talking, right? So if I didn't put out a 58 Keys video every Wednesday, as it happens to do, well, hopefully we could talk some other time. Fine. Yes, somehow the fact that 58 Keys has gone out every Wednesday without fail for, I'm not sure I've thought this through, however many weeks it is since late January 2020, right? That's actually a writing thing. This is just a chat. This is just us nattering once a week. But whenever you as a writer do something regularly enough, or maybe even not just writers, you do something often enough, it becomes part of your working week, part of your time, part of you, doesn't it? So the next time that you or I are failing to write something, I think we should both remember this maybe. A little bit done regularly helps. Anyway, sorry, that just popped in me. I went off on one. Thank you very much for watching. Now, take care of yourself. Write more, eh? And I'll see you soon.